Hello. I was talking with the bishop the other day about how we as a diocese engage in conversation using the internet because we are so spread out. I mean, for example, our uh, council advice meetings are conducted over Zoom rather than physically meeting, which has proved it more useful. It means that some of our more remote members can get involved from where they are. So we can do that, and of course our work on Facebook and using things like YouTube, we can get a conversation going at least. And of course, as I said in previous videos, there are ups and downs with that. Certainly one of the downs is that it allows us to become anonymous and to make hurtful comments that don't actually help anything, except increase sort of tension, increase sort of the antagonism between people. I mean, we all know the disagreements between Catholic and Protestants on various issues, and likewise we know the disagreements between Catholics and the Orthodox on various issues. So we know these things, and yet there are people who seem to like to sort of poke and prod and use the internet to keep those arguments what can I say, a little bit bitter for their own entertainment. It's amazing how we often conflate the internet for entertainment. This activity is called doom scrolling, where one just sort of flicks through page after page and just sees all kinds of things. Some of which are quite sweet, some of which are quite unpleasant, etc., etc. But nonetheless, it's sort of a waste of time, really, if you think about it. And so that brings me to think about human beings in relationship with the internet. And what I've sort of come to the realization in myself is that what we've got is us human beings who are limited in our physical body limits us. We are meant to be local people. We're supposed to have a sort of a locality, and well, I don't want us to turn into the sort of locality like Royston Vasey, but what we would like to do, there used to be a community. We used to have if you think about the communities of the past before the internet, how everyone sort of lived in these sort of units and didn't move very far, and the internet has given us a way of seeing the world and interacting with the world. I was quite happily talking with a dear priest in South Africa. Of course, the beauty of being South Africa is it's only a marginal time difference. Of course, he's coming through winter while we're coming through summer, which is quite a strange thing. But nonetheless, the internet has sort of turned a local human being into a global human being. And I wonder whether that is somewhat of a stress on our own humanity. Whereas once upon a time we could be we could talk to people in a locality, and there were people who had something in common. We all worked with each other. These days that's not happening. And you think about the commandment of our Lord to love our neighbour, and you ask Christ, who is our neighbour? What does he do? He gives us a parable of the Good Samaritan, and the Samaritan is the one who finds the chap lying in the ditch, dying from his wounds, and saves him. He's physically present. Likewise, too, the sacraments, you have to be physically present for them. You can't receive the Eucharist via the television. There was a whole little craze once upon a time certainly on British television, where you were invited to sit with a little bit of bread and a little bit of wine and share communion with the television, with the people on the television program. There was sort of the minister would go through the communion service, and you'd sort of receive there. That's not how communion works. You have to be physically present. Likewise, you can't really be you can't be absent from your own baptism, for example. You can't baptize yourself, certainly. What this means is as Catholics, we are being tempted to lose our physical presence and separate it from the physical presence of our Lord and from each other. We are no longer being present to each other. Of course, there is some way we can talk with other people. Is that enough? And I wonder what your thoughts are on that. Is it enough to be able to talk to someone, communicate with them over the internet, or is there something better to be physically present with someone? And we're losing that possibility, unless, and this is again where my fevered imagination thinks we're now getting into the days of artificial intelligence, and you'll look on social media and you'll see things posted on social media which are generated by artificial intelligence. Now the question is, can we tell the difference between something that's created by artificial intelligence and something that's created by a human being? And it's getting harder and harder to tell apart. Sometimes you'll look at something, you'll look at a person, and suddenly a sixth finger will appear and it will disappear again. All right, that's definitely AI. But artificial intelligence is learning, and at some point it's going to fool us. Which will mean that what we see on the internet will not be reliable, not necessarily be reliable anymore, because of course we can generate these deep fakes, and I've spoken about deep fakes before. We can generate artificial people. So we will no longer be able to talk with someone and it being guaranteed that we're not talking to a computer, which is rather sobering. In which case, we're going to have to go back to being local people again. You're going to have to start being the local, the local shop for local people. We'll have to do that, which would be no bad thing, because I think then we go back to an opportunity to be present for each other again. And I wonder what will happen, whether we will become a sort of society where there is a separation between the computer-generated stuff, which may well be governing us. You never know. And with a low back tension, it'll be something very, very similar, I think, to H.G. Wells' Time Machine, where you have that separation between the Eloi and the Morlocks, and there is that tension between them because they've evolved into two separate societies. And I wonder if that's also going to happen with us, and which society will prevail. I would tend to think that ultimately, because we are human beings, we are physical creatures, we have our presence, and although we are not designed, we are not designed to be global things. We're designed to be local things. I think ultimately that we will prevail as a physical species. One other reason, I think, of course, is the fact that computers are more susceptible to sort of solar radiation and the like, which will knock out the internet. And it's also possible if there's a global power cut, not beyond the bounds of possibility, then all of this will be. We will be back to tilling the soil once more. We'll be back to some sort of very medieval relationship. Again, there'll be something feudal, I think, because you'll have local communities sort of being ruled by perhaps a sort of lord of the manor figure. And having any cohesion means that it'll have to be sort of parliaments like that, talking between the discussion between lords of the manor and the like. So the future is quite fascinating. I don't quite know what it's going to hold. I don't end up like Mother Shipton or Nostradamus and start declaring some kind of, this will happen in this type of thing. And I'm certainly not going to be like Harold Camping and start trying to calculate the end of the world. But I can certainly see that there's going to become a tension between the way between our computer presence, our avatar, if you like, and our physical presence. And I think ultimately our physical presence must win out. And we will have to get back to loving our neighbour, literally being the persons that we are most present to. To love one's neighbour is to love the person, is to see them, interact with them, to see them body and soul. That's how God sees us. We are things of body and soul. Our Lord took up a human nature in order to be like us, in order to communicate with us. And you can't do that if you are if you were just pure spirit. So, God bless you. God bless you if you are struggling with relationship with people on the internet. God bless you that you may find a way of communicating with yourself as a human being with them, and they with you, so that something of your humanity remains online. God bless you if you are suffering from confusion, as a result of you don't know what's real anymore, from whether a communication is real, whether it's from a real person. God bless you that you may always be able to discern humanity in what you read. And God bless you that when computers and the internet have all passed away and we stand before God, we may be present truly, properly to each other. God bless you. Please pray for me.